I'm back. You can't keep me away.
Hello, and welcome to the Liquidity event.
You thought you lost me.
I'm your host, AJ.
And I'm Shane, motherfucker.
Here's my worst nightmare.
Nice try.
How you doing, Shane?
Takes more than a couple national parks to keep me out of the mix. I'm good. I'm great. I'm good.
Glad to hear it.
Are you?
I'm glad to hear it. I always wish well for your welfare. I always want to hear that you're in good health and good wealth and good spirits.
That's exactly what I would say too if I was you. Everyone knows that when I go, you get 100% of the company. So I know you had your fingers crossed that a bald eagle would swoop down at Big Bend National Park and lift me up into the
No, that would be too.
into
That
the
would make me
great
angry. That would be too good. It would
retirement
be
of
like
the sky.
it's like when you don't. That's when the CIA is like, we don't want to martyr that person. We don't want to kill them.
Yeah, I mean, we all know birds aren't real. So when the Eagles do come down for your boy, it's going to be the NSA saying goodnight.
Anyways, what are you
Today
drinking?
is January. Oh, AJ, you're not drunk this time. You're sleepy. You're tired.
Sleepy. I do have a fun drink to talk about, which is why I want to talk about. Oops, fuck. What we're drinking.
Oh, great. So
Also, shout out to not Amazon Logistics because I have a label maker on the way, which was graciously gifted to me by my business partner right here, but it's delayed by like 10 days. So I still haven't figured out the soundboard.
Come on, Jeff.
I am drinking canned natural wine, and I am super psyched about it. You know that guy Eric Wareheim, like Tim and Eric?
Of course.
This is his natural wine label, Las Hiatus, and this is a red wine from Mendocino County, and it's pretty good. It's fine. It's a nice, chilly, delicious. Don't know where the grapes are, but it's good.
All right. Well, it's 2:30 in Los Angeles, so I put down that I'm drinking soup because I'm having a late lunch. New England clam chowder that I got from the World Market last night.
Wait, you mean Cost Plus World Market?
Costco. I don't know what's world. I'm not much of a shopper, so
Okay.
I've been to Target like 3 times in my life. But I was looking for anchovies, and they're at this World Market spot. So I went into World Market and bought a knife and some charcuterie and some soup. A $5 can of soup.
Fun.
You don't have any hot takes on that? You got
Well,
no-
if it was Cost Plus World Market, which
the
doesn't
fuck?
sound
What
like
is
it was.
that?
It's like a weird. It's only on the West Coast, I think. It's like you can buy everything from like tiki torches to cans of clam chowder to cheap, interesting sconces for your Brooklyn apartment when you're 22 and you have a $70 budget to decorate your closet that you're living in.
Sconce is one of my favorite words. Can
The
you
sconce?
rhyme? Can you rhyme a word with sconce?
Decadence. If you got room for a sconce, you got hella decadence.
That's true.
In your living room.
Yeah. If you know what the words, word sconce
oh my
mean.
God. Okay. The first 5 minutes of our show are so boring.
Au contraire. I think the second half is the boring part.
All right. We're both reading books this week. That's so exciting. We're both reading books that we're actually interested in. What are you reading this week?
I'm reading one of my sailing books, the memoir, South by Ernest Shackleton, about how he tries to conquer the South Pole and how his ship gets stuck in the ice and people die. And then
But he's not the one who died. That's the other guy who died. This guy survived to write the memoir.
it's a test of endurance.
I remember as a kid, I was like obsessed with that story. Like, I was
Really?
just, like, I had like a picture book and I would just read it over and over and over again.
It's totally unknown to me until recently. One of
Really?
those things. Yeah.
I can't remember the other guy's name, which is a testament to my long-term memory problems.
It's one of those books that shows up on business books because it's a test of like how to like mental toughness and fortitude that never resonates with me in that regard. But I just like to hear stories about people eating each other.
Cool. I'm reading Gideon the Ninth by Tasman Muir, which is I can't really figure out what it is. My old and dear friend Gabe recommended it to me. It's like sci-fi meets horror meets coming of age. I don't know. It's like good YA, like my catnipy, easy fall asleep book. I'm liking it so far.
You're reading a young adult novel.
Yes, I am.
No comment.
I am a young adult.
Sus. Cool. Cool. So you're in Brooklyn. I'm in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in
Is
your
this your
hometown.
first time in LA ever?
I've been here before, but not for more than like 2 or 3 days at a time. I'll be here for 4 months. I'll be here for tax season.
I love it.
LA will tax me, and I drove the company car all the way across the country. So I put 5,500. Well, it's my car now. I put 5,000 miles on the bad girl Boo Boo. Went through I think 6 national parks on the way over, which was really tight. Went to Big Bend. Went to White Sands. Went to Zion. Bryce. It was awesome. I saw buffalo. I almost hit a bull in the middle of the road, popped out with its horns of Big Bend National Park, and almost ran it over. It almost ran me over. It was a dope trip. America does not deserve the national parks.
Okay. That's your hot take? Is that national parks are too good?
Are you okay?
What's going on with you?
Are we gonna do the podcast today, or are you gonna just drink your wine and?
I told you I was not here for the podcast today.
Wow. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's talk about the IRS. That'll pep things up.
Oh, that gets me going. I would love to talk about the IRS.
All right.
Before we talk about the IRS, we do have an update.
What's the update?
So there's 3 biotech companies going public. By the time this airs, it will be today. There's 3 companies going public. Not really familiar with them. Not super exciting to talk about. But we do have pricing information for JustWorks. So we did a big deep dive on JustWorks on episode 22. And we now have a confirmed IPO, which will be trading on January 13th, which is next Thursday. And they've priced it at $30 a share-ish. And they're offering 7 million shares. And I don't know. I'm super excited about this IPO. How about you?
I'm not excited about the JustWorks IPO. I don't know. It's an accounting firm, accounting tech. I don't know. Why are you excited about this IPO?
I'm excited about it because there's so many companies in this space that like this actually makes a difference in business, like small business owners' lives. So like if we get more attention on this, like more small business owners can use products like this that actually can accelerate the ease of starting a business. I feel like a lot of businesses fail. Everyone knows the statistics are most businesses fail. But most people who start businesses don't have an accounting background. Cough, cough, Shane Mason. Like they need things like this. So if we can bring attention and get these companies to have very successful, splashy IPOs, ergo, business owners will become aware of these products instead of like trying to mess around with like expensive, shitty payroll when they hire their first employee.
Yeah, we do have some clients on JustWorks. It's my least favorite platform for them to be on at the moment, but it is one of the. I mean, just speaking frankly, it's hard to run a good PEO, a private employer organization that's tech forward. There's dozens and dozens of PEOs out there, and they're all really clumsy and clunky and difficult to work with. JustWorks is, in my opinion, the best, but it is still difficult to work with when compared to a Rippling or a Gusto. But they do more than those platforms. So, yeah, I do hope that the IPO does provide some much needed injection of liquidity into the balance sheet of JustWorks so they can deploy it towards product innovation, hire more service teams. I haven't seen any development or innovation in the JustWorks platform. Given I don't go in there every day like our account managers do, it hasn't been splashy over the past 2 years since I first encountered the product. But I hope they take this money and they make business owners' lives a lot easier.
Maybe they just needed the cash. Right?
Can I help you?
Charlie, the almost 3-year-old Aussie, has entered the chat.
He's so much more cuddly in LA than he was in New York. He's a little cuddlebug now.
Really?
I know what happened. Yeah. Your home state.
LA will do that to you.
California's bringing it out in him. Not complaining.
All right. Now can we talk about the fucking IRS, please?
I'm down. I'm down. Whatever gives you energy. I'm trying to get you up to speed here. What do you want? You want to talk about this meme that's been going around?
Oh my God. This is so when you are in our position, meaning that you have friends when 95% of the people that you know don't have anything to do with finance or accounting, and you are the only person in multiple friend circles who work in finance and accounting. When something happens in the news or in the meme space or on Reddit that's related to personal finance or taxes, you just get inundated. How many people sent you this article?
I think 4 people sent me
Yeah.
this.
Okay. Yeah. About the same for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was a meme floating. You wanna take this one? This is IRS is your domain.
Yeah, sure. So for those of you that don't know or didn't see the meme, or it's not even a meme, it's just people
Just a
are
screenshot
literally
of the
just
IRS
screenshotting the IRS's website. Like people think taxes and accounting are boring. They're right, but occasionally there are highlights or funny things or silly things. Like there are so many provisions written into the code or really obtuse or obscure elements of our economy, like the tax rules around fishing and specific whaling off the Aleutian Islands, and like, a novella is written about the rules surrounding that, and you're just like, what is this? Why is this developed? Why did this get any attention? And that's just one example of something silly that you can go down a rabbit hole if you enjoyed silly, nerdy things like that. Well, I guess a lot of people don't realize is that every type of income that you receive is taxable. I think we've talked about on the podcast before that, you can either have a default on or a default off. For those of you that are familiar with nudges, a default on for contributions to 401ks equal more contributions in general when someone requires a button to be clicked to turn it off. Well, if you think about that in terms of the IRS's definition of what income is, everything is taxable income unless it's turned off by the IRS. So they say that everything you receive is income unless there's a specific exclusion. That's a long-winded way of saying that everything you get is income, including stolen property. If you steal property from somebody else, that is taxable income to you. If you deal drugs, if you sell cocaine, all of your proceeds from selling cocaine are technically supposed to show up on your tax return. So somebody, some memester, somebody that has some sort of sway, went to the IRS's website, probably for the first time ever, and realized that they found the website where the IRS lists definitions of taxable income that includes stolen property it says stolen property must be reported on your tax return. Friendly reminder. The sale of illegal substances needs to show up on your tax return, even though it is illegal to sell narcotics. It's like, yeah, that's true. And why do you think that it says that, AJ? Like, why do you think that they're making that clear?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's the same reason. This is what Al Capone went down for. Was for
wire fraud.
No, I don't. We have a different wire fraud reference today. But he went down because of tax evasion, because he had income in his life from the sale of bootleg alcohol and from gambling that was not reported on his income tax returns. And they were able to arrest him, and he died of a syphilitic mess, just talking to himself in a corner. But he went down for tax evasion because he did not report the sale of illegal substances, in this case alcohol. I don't know what else he sold. I'm not up to speed, but that's why it's on here as a reminder that even though there are they can get you for income tax evasion in addition to sale of type 1 narcotics, which is a separate crime.
Right. So basically the idea here is that maybe they don't have enough evidence. They can't actually convict you for selling drugs, but they can convict you for not reporting the income that they can see in your bank account, or they can, like, that's how these cases get.
Yeah, you got $2 million of cash underneath your mattress. Can
where
you
did that
prove
come from?
where it came from? No.
Exactly.
Well, okay. We live in a trap house on the edge of Memphis. Do you? It's okay. For me to say that I'm from Memphis. I've been to trap houses on the edge of Memphis. Where did you get this money? Well, we don't have any evidence of you selling drugs, but you have $2 million of unreported income. So, show us the receipts or experience a jail cell.
My favorite part of this entire story and the meme is
what?
that the screenshot that got the most attention early in one of this CBS article. It's like stolen property. Like there's the tag on the IRS website. The tag right below it, or the paragraph right below it, is, so stolen property. If you steal property, you must report its fair market value in your income in the year you steal it, unless you return it to its rightful owner in the same year. So if you steal a car and you return it, it's fine. Don't need to report it. But the next bullet point, the next item is transporting school children. Don't include in your income a school board mileage allowance for taking children to and from school if you aren't in the business of taking children to school. So unless you are a bus driver and you have income from that, like you can't, yeah.
Everything is income unless it is specifically excluded, such as the school children allowance from the definition of income
Right. So if, like,
by Congress.
if I'm driving the carpool this week and, you know, the dad down the street is so grateful that I drove all the kids to school and gets me a gift certificate to the spa for $500. Technically, I'm supposed to report that as income, except
you're not in the business of transporting children.
I'm not. That's not my business.
That's none of y'all business.
None of y'all business. Renaissance rhymes with sconce. All right. Anyway, let's move on.
That's our favorite IPO website. Welcome. Nice circle back.
Yeah. Renaissance Capital. Shout out to the IPO data. The data.
Speaking of wire fraud, you've got celebrities and billionaires. Miss Elizabeth Holmes was recently.
It's always wire fraud.
Recently
Why is
convicted.
It always wire fraud?
She's no longer a suspect. She is still she's always been
on
suspect.
Monday, the 7th day of deliberations, the jury told U.S. District Judge Edward. Yeah, that's my Elizabeth Holmes voice.
Is that punching down now that she's a criminal?
I don't know how to feel about this.
You're very conflicted about Elizabeth Holmes.
So conflicted about so many articles. She did wrong. There was definitely fraud committed. A jury just convicted her of that fraud on 4 counts. So yeah, I mean, what's interesting about this trial, and a lot of the articles and hot takes surrounding it are that she was not convicted of, misleading the public or medical fraud or anything like that. It's just purely, there are 4 different counts, but basically misleading investors, falsifying documents, slapping labels on things that weren't true. So she likely will go to jail. She hasn't been sentenced yet. But there are a lot of other male founders who have also misled investors. I think in her case, the general opinion is that it's more extreme because this was medical testing, and committing fraud in this arena, falsifying test results, could have led to harmful things. I don't think anyone actually did die as a result of an incorrect test, so she can't be charged with manslaughter or murder or anything like that. But yeah, she's guilty. Guilty as charged. 37 years. Female founder going to jail for misleading investors. Now her former romantic partner, is getting, his trial has not happened yet. That will happen in 2022. So I will be watching to see what happens during his fraud trial as well.
So I have a few things to say about this.
Oh no.
They're not problematic.
Also, sorry, a very popular investment CEO that I greatly respect this morning posted an Instagram photo in support.
Wow. Okay, shots fired.
In support of her, and then it got taken down. I'm not going to name names, but that was very interesting.
Josh Brown doesn't care if you talk about him on your podcast.
No, it's not about him. It was more of downtown Josh Brown posted a photo and said, was Elizabeth Holmes, it was a witch hunt. If she basically committed similar crimes to these male CEOs that are walking free and are billionaires. And then just got piled on in the comments. And he took it down, I would imagine, because he probably got a death threat from someone saying, how could you ever defend women? Which just kind of adds to my conflicted heart right now. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, don't do the crime if you can't do the time.
Anyway.
I mean, come on. I don't know what, I agree with you that Adam Newman, he committed wire fraud? He misled investors? Is that what you're talking about in Kalanick?
Yes.
Kalanick was ousted, but he didn't do jail time.
Didn't do jail time.
Did he mislead
also
investors?
Ousted. I don't know the details of the Kalanick case. The Newman case is, profits were lied about, financial projections were complete fallacies as presented to investors. And those so Josh Brown's argument was that those male investors never ran out of, Elizabeth Holmes ran out of runway. She ran out of money. And therefore, if she had had more time and money, maybe she would have figured it out and we never would have heard about any of this. But she ran out of money and time, whereas Newman and Kalanick had plenty of money and time.
Well, yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, if
Just to be
you
clear,
haven't,
Adam Newman, former CEO of WeWork, Travis Kalanick, former CEO of Uber. That's what we're talking about.
right? Okay.
Speaking of crimes, speaking of financial crimes, our good friends at the SEC, who do a lot of good work in busting insider trading schemes and financial service, our friends in the financial services industry who are doing bad things. SEC charges a financial planning company and its president with engaging in fraudulent schemes to boost stock price. This is a company called Medallion Financial Corporation, which actually their whole business model is based on taxi medallions. And obviously, with speaking of Kalanick and Uber, with the rise of Uber, the value of taxi medallions has greatly plummeted. This was a financial services company based specifically on granting loans for taxi drivers to get those medallions, which are notoriously very expensive to the tune of seven figures. Their company was experiencing dramatic losses, and this guy's in trouble for trying to cover up those losses with moving money around and creating, a web of lies and holding companies to not show that he was losing money. So,
Wait,
R.I.P.
wait. This is a CEO, a male CEO, getting arrested for wire fraud.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
not wire fraud. No, this is this is not misleading investors. This is literally moving money around to
That's a funny
cover
segue.
up true losses.
That's a comedic segue.
You win some, you lose some.
Yeah, I mean, this just sucks. I mean, imagine that's my succinct summary of what's going on. For those of you that don't know, I think a nice introduction for those of you outside New York City or those in New York City that aren't familiar with the economics of yellow cabs. I was fortunate enough to do the taxes for a yellow cab company that owned a bunch of medallions, and they used to cost. A medallion is like there's only 10 of them, or there's a limited supply of them, like Bitcoin. And once they're all distributed, there's not going to be any more available unless by legislation. So they have a fixed price, and I think they could be between, in the heyday of the yellow cabs, they were seven figures, sometimes multiple millions of dollars to acquire one. And if you were able to acquire one via a loan, you could be an immigrant from anywhere, and you could come to the United States, get a loan to buy a medallion, and then you can ride that yellow taxi for 30, 35 years, have a middle class lifestyle, and retire. But then Uber came in and it had an especially large impact on New York City yellow cabs and the London black cabs, I think have a similar system, wherein they had purchased these medallions for millions of dollars, which is obviously risky. And then they were disrupted by this tech company that was using VC money to put all of these immigrants to flip their loans into it's essentially like the housing crisis, but just for medallions, right? So you're all of a sudden you're underwater. You can't earn money to pay back your loans. I imagine this head of the Medallion Financial Corp was struggling since the launch of Uber in New York City, 10 years ago? Maybe 2016 is when that happened, and some things were moved around, some books were cooked, and now they're paying the consequences because they were facing bankruptcy, and tens of thousands of people were definitely looking down the barrel of bankruptcy and their families going underwater. So I can't imagine I mean, we know the forces that were at play here. I can't imagine the loss of sleep that all these people experienced prior to this conviction and moving forward after this conviction. It's just sad and it sucks, which it's terrible.
Yeah, the medallion. I mean, there's the New York Times. I think they won a Pulitzer for doing like the reporting on
Oh,
the taxi
really?
medallion story. Yeah, so we'll drop some links in, just like for those who are not in New York City or not familiar with this practice or how this system works. It's wild. Yeah, I mean, I love like taking. I rarely take yellow cabs now, obviously because of Uber, but I usually take them from JFK home because it's easy. So if the taxi line's not too long, I'll hop in a taxi cab, and I generally enjoy my yellow taxi rides more than my Uber rides. That's neither here nor there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Speaking of neither here nor there, the U.S. sets its global daily record of over 1 million coronavirus cases today. Congratulations.
Cool. Shout out. Guinness record for failure.
Congratulations.
I don't know.
Did you ever have a copy of the Guinness Book of World Records growing up?
Of course. Yeah.
Were you like obsessed with it?
Yeah, from like age
Okay.
10 to like
Yeah.
13, maybe like 8 to 12. So I don't know, somewhere in there.
I like just like I feel like our micro generation, like it was we had the internet was a thing, but it was like not it was so slow that it wasn't something you could spend time on. So the Guinness Book of World Records was my internet.
Are you familiar with the theory on why it was created? Like
No.
why did Guinness create it?
Oh no.
No, I think this is real. I don't know. I read it
Okay.
somewhere. It's bouncing around in this dumbass head of mine. The theory is that there were so many bar fights in Ireland about whether something was the actual like best thing that ever happened or the most things that ever happened. So
What?
in order to stop bar fights, the Guinness Book decided to
Yes.
publish a book about no, this is the person verified has pogo sticked the longest across the United
Wait, it's
States.
literally the Guinness Brewery Company? That's what Guinness is
Yes,
from?
yes, to stop bar fights in Ireland. I mean, I don't know if that's true, but don't
That's
don't
incredible.
don't at me. It's probably one of those things that
Wow,
just
I
makes a lot of
learned
sense.
something from you for the first time ever
Oh
in
my
the
fucking
entire
god! Oh my
5 year
god!
course of
Don't
our
even.
relationship.
Let's circle back to 2017, that coffee shop where I'm punching in your financial calculator. People don't forget.
Never forget. Never forget. Shane will never let me live that down when I was studying for some
I've
exam
always
and
always got that in my pocket.
yep. Yep, yep. What else we got here?
We got some IPO stuff. I think you should do some IPO stuff. I think
Sure.
we've got 1 minute. Do you want to save it for next time? We
Yeah,
can
let's
do
save
a
it.
crush.
This is a very interesting the erosion of the IPO lockup. Stay tuned for next time. But actually we have some listener questions.
You've got mail.
Should I invest in alternative assets like collectibles? I hear you can make great returns there. How does that compare to the US stock market? So there's this company called Masterworks that will allow you to invest in fractional shares of like literal masterworks, like paintings, like Rembrandt's and I don't know who else is Kusamas and other Warhols and
I'm a
other
master of
contemporary
segues. That's what I am.
I thought we're
Masterwork.
not supposed to call anything master anymore. I thought that's like a word that we're trying to retire from the vocabulary.
That's a problematic word that harkens back to master and slave.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Anyways, what do you think? Should I invest in alternative assets like collectibles?
No.
Anyways,
End of debate.
question for you, Mr. I'm a CPA.
Uh-huh.
Do you think that the investments in these collectibles, do you think they're subject to the special collectible tax? Or do you think these are actually long-term capital gains depending on how they've structured these?
I don't know. If it's an ETF, then it's probably going to be taxed at exchange traded fund. It'll be taxed at capital gains rates. But if it's a mutual fund or a partnership wherein you have carry through characteristics or attributes, then it might be taxed at the collectibles tax rate, which is higher of 28%. So, I mean, either way, I guess you should be cognizant of the tax impact of your investments and the liquidity of your investments and the holding periods necessary, aka liquidity, and the expenses and the historical track record. That all goes into the conversation. And almost every time that you take a look at that, when you compare any investment that you can touch, it usually does not perform as well as the stock market in general. It's usually subject to idiosyncratic risks. It's usually something that, I don't know, we looked at the performance of these masterworks results. What was it over the past 3 to 5 years? They outperformed the S&P. Was it 1 year? It's like,
No,
yeah, okay.
so that's like it's an interesting like they on their website when you go to their website it's like the S&P 500 over since 1995. So they picked this very specific period from 1995 to now where these masterworks had outperformed the S&P 500 by about 4 points. It was like 13%, versus 9%. And it's like, yeah, that's why we don't talk about returns because you can pick whatever time period you want. I can outperform you if I get to pick the time period that we're comparing. Like that's like trying to time the market. And also like they're talking about all paintings ever. So like you get to I think this is like an ETF where you get to buy all paintings that were ever sold at auction across like Sotheby's and Bonhams and all the different auction houses. Like I don't get it is where I'm at. So no is the answer. Should you invest? No.
Yeah, and the question is why. I mean, are you trying to increase returns? Do they actually return? I mean, maybe in one of the most intense periods of inequality ever, have the prices of masterworks increased over the past 20 years because the people that are billionaires, the ever increasing amount of billionaires, have driven up the prices because they're already saturated in the stock market. They've already inflated those values high enough and they don't need that money anymore. So they're investing in these. Like, is that going to continue into the future? I don't know. We don't have data back to 1910 like we do with the stock market. So I don't know what you're up to. It sounds, I mean, it sounds fun.
What are you up to over there?
I don't know. I realize that the listener's going to listen to my response and it's going to be very cynical. But at the end of the day, you can allocate 5% of your portfolio to whatever you want. If you're a Brooklyn investment management client and if you've got every $100,000 of investable assets, that's $5,000 that you can play with, and it should not have a material impact on your long-term retirement income. And if that keeps you engaged in the market and keeps you interested and keeps you on your toes, then we do advocate for it. And that's why we allocate 5% to alternatives of this kind. So go for it. Don't expect it to move you from LA to Palm Springs in your retirement years. Is that an appropriate analogy, AJ? I'm getting used to the local geography here.
Oh, you are? Move you from LA to Palm Springs? No, because typically people move. Yeah, I guess you would.
Is that
you
an
would
up?
Sell.
Is that the
that didn't
bougier
make
version?
any sense at all. But yeah, sure.
It's a lateral move, not an up.
Yeah.
All right.
That would be, yeah, when you retire to a cheaper retirement community in Palm Springs. Shane and I are going to Shane is going to Palm Springs for the first time, and I am very excited to show him my lazy playground.
This is where I lay down for 2 days straight. Great. Cool.
Yeah. Oh, I have one more. Oops. We need to give you the soundboard. I could not be trusted with the soundboard. My CEO crush of the week is Emma Walmsley, who is the CEO of GlaxoSmithKline, which is a massive UK oh, there comes. Speaking of pharmaceuticals, a very large pharmaceutical company
in your house.
Yeah, it's literally in my house. Hey boys, come on.
Is Nabil okay? Yeah, he's in there.
I live on a thoroughfare. She's my CEO crush of the week because she makes £8 million a year, and she is helping us close the gender pay gap.
I'm sorry, she eats £8 million a year.
She makes. It's a UK company.
Yeah, I know. Come on.
Shut up.
Wow. Good for her.
Yeah, good for her. So she's helping us single-handedly. She's skewing that gender pay gap, 0.2%.
What's the conversion rate? What is that in USD?
It's like a little more USD. It's like kind of equal right now.
Is it really?
I think so.
No way. What is it in Bitcoin? How many Bitcoins is that a year?
1. It's 1 Bitcoin. And that's the show, folks. Thanks for listening.
Sincerely, thank you.
We're the Liquidity event.
John did a great job last week, by the way.
He did do a good job.
Yeah, he did an amazing job.
John and I have great chemistry.
You would
maybe
even better than you and Charlie? Maybe better than you and Nabil?
Maybe we should do a poll.
I fucking dare you. No, of course you chose the week I was out to do a IPO of the week on a boat manufacturing company, by the way.
Oh yeah, that was obviously just a dig at you. Actually, it wasn't. We had picked the IPO deep dive before it came to our attention that you would not have service at the exact time of our recording each week.
No, I did not have service at all that week. If you look at a cell phone map of all the places, you do not have service in the country. That's where I was for a full week. You ticked off
all the boxes.
Yeah. Yeah. T-Mobile does not cover national parks.
Well, comment on our YouTube if you liked John better than Shane.
Okay, I dare you. I will find you.
And he will.
I will drive 6,000 miles and I will knock on your door. All right. Email us at liquidityevent@brooklynify.com. Leave us a voicemail and we'll play it on the air. podinbox.com/liquidityevents. Show notes are available at brooklynify.com/episode 24. BKFI stands can leave us a review if they want to be weird about it. We do have some nice 5-star reviews. Shout out to those that have provided them to us. It really touches us when you do that. So really appreciate it, guys. Have a great week, everyone. We'll see you next Friday.
Looking forward to the Sconce Renaissance.
Oh
See
my
you next
God.
week.
Bye.
Bye.